welcome to the Anime Void. I'm Brian, your host, and who the hell even remembers the anime Duel Masters? And I don't mean like, oh yeah, I remember playing the game a bit, or, oh yeah, that was a fun show growing up. I mean, can you genuinely sit down and tell me what the actual hell happened in the plot of the show? Honestly, I couldn't answer this myself, so I was getting curious. After all, I am in that time of my life where the mortal coil that we are all forced to live in is slowly closing in around my throat, and I am desperately trying to recapture the joy and simple times of my youth where the only important question that I had was, who is the kid with the spiky hair? In my endeavor to recapture those bygone days, I was surprised to find out that Duel Masters is still ongoing. Not that that actually matters, because I grew up with the American dub, not the original Japanese version, so that is the one that I have to watch. So let's look more into this. Apparently, only the first and second seasons were dubbed in America, with only half of the second season being aired. And also, the second season was the third season. The actual American second season was called Sacred Lands, and was made specifically for America. Now, that is the exact kind of weird that should be raising red flags. But anyway, if we add all of the episodes together that aired in America, we have 91 episodes. And I do not have the time to watch 91 episodes just for a video. I honestly wish I did, but this is not my job. I have a full-time job. These are my weekends. But just as I was about to give up and scrap this idea, a light appeared at the end of the tunnel. 5 official home releases from Paramount and Hasbro. Now I'm actually missing the 5th one that's still coming in the mail. We will cover that. But each of these DVDs contains 4 episodes. So between 5, that's 20 episodes, and that's pretty doable. And for added flavor, I will be doing this segmentally. I will be reviewing each DVD and their 4 episodes. And also, really, let's think about this. 20 episodes, and the first season was 26 episodes. So really, I'm going to be watching pretty much most of season 1. Hell, at the end of this review, I might just tack on those 6 episodes, because it's not like the 3rd disc is going to stop in the middle of the first season, and then the 4th disc picks up at the start of Sacred Lands. Because we all know that'd just be weird and very stupid. The Battle Zone! Okay, the first thing that I have to talk about with these DVDs is their naming conventions. They are all old movie references, or at least older movie references. I think the most recent one is from the 1990s. They just have a Duel Masters twist to them to make them punny. And I am pretty sure by the end of this, I'm gonna be feeling physical pain. Regardless of that, the good, the bad, and the bullshock is our introduction to the series and the characters. But more importantly, the coming attractions were a trip. Jimmy Neutron home releases that only came out on VHS. What? The show, meaning the first 4 episodes, is a trip as well, but a bad one. I barely know what even happened during these first 4 episodes. It was that amazingly incoherent. It was like a fever dream on a hot summer's night, with Rakuda being your sleep paralysis demon. But we get introduced to Shobu and his friends, and they all play Duel Masters, with Shobu, the protagonist, wanting to be the king of games. I mean Pokemon Master. I mean Kaijudo Master. He wants to be really good at the game, okay? There's also apparently a cult involved, and I don't know what they're about. I'm not quite even sure if they're actually evil, or if the leader is just kind of a dick. And honestly, an air of mystery is perfectly fine, preferred even. But if by the 4th episode I do not understand the basic world building, you've done something wrong. The editing is also some of the worst that I've ever seen. So just look at this clip that the only thing that I did was flip it.
I want your best. That's only the sound.
I have no idea if that's how it was in the original Japanese broadcast, or if the localizers decided to do a line off of a copy of Bolshak Dragon before editing. But honestly, I think the latter, because the localization is pretty weird in general.
Oh, sure, they say they want a guy who will make them laugh, but in the end, they all go for the dangerous ones like Shobu. That lucky kid. How I hate him. Hey, Shobu!
It's like halfway between 4Kids and an actual competent company. Like, all of the important characters' names remain Japanese, but there's a lot of added humor for American audiences, and let's put humor in air quotes, because it's all unnecessary and all unfunny. And honestly, I love fourth wall breaks, but here they all just seem kinda clumsy.
Wait, the music cue just changed abruptly.
And oh my god, the gameplay. Look, the first season of Yu-Gi-Oh! Was like the Wild West. Anything could happen, nothing made sense, but I was still able to follow along with the flow of battle. There was no point at all where I understood what was happening in a duel in any of these 4 episodes, and they had plenty of duels going on. But I will give credit that there is a special feature on the disc that does do an in-depth dive into teaching you how to play Duel Masters. That is really cool. I just wish the anime itself did a better job of explaining the central plot point to the series. These 4 episodes have got me questioning if I was just looking at the past through rose-tinted glasses, or if this is just a very rough start to what is sure to be an unsung classic. Only more binge-watching will reveal that answer. But before I get to the next disc, I do want to say that if you are enjoying this video, you should hit that like button and also subscribe to the channel. I'm getting very close to 1,000 subscribers, and those who subscribe right now will have an increased chance to own the zone, whatever the hell that even means. I appreciate you. Now on to the Battle Zone! Different day, same Duel Masters, and here we start with, of course, a Dirty Harry reference. Just what all children would understand. At least with the title, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, that's been parodied enough across various types of media that most people will still recognize that. I would just love to be in the marketing meetings where these decisions were made. Also, unlike the previous DVD, this one actually lists out the episode titles. And for some reason, 2 of them are listed as bonus episodes. Actually, every DVD after the first one does this. It's like some kind of weird sales gimmick? Are they trying to get people to buy it like... Oh. Duel Masters on DVD. I wonder if I should buy this. Whoa! Bonus episodes? Wowzers! I gotta buy this right away! Just put a random trading card in the case like a normal card game anime, goddammit. Anyway, these 4 episodes are nothing noteworthy at all. Well, outside of what I am convinced is a hate crime against someone.
I am Toyoshi Sarayama, one of the greatest duelists of our generation. I placed 2nd in the last tournament.
I don't know who they're being racist towards, but I know they're being racist. Wow, it's really hard not to sound like Twitter sometimes, huh? But even then, his duel was the only one where I kind of understood what was happening, they took the time to explain how his cards worked. And I had a general understanding of how the civilization he used operates. Or at least how his specific deck works. Other than that, Bakura from Yu-Gi-Oh! Cameoed.
Really? Well, this will be interesting.
So that was a pleasant surprise. Though he seems more melancholy and less possessed by an evil, murderous, ancient Egyptian spirit. So there's that. Also, I'm pretty sure he's the main rival and like the golden boy of the cult, which I still don't understand. They have no real stated goal or anything that tells you what they're exactly about other than kind of controlling duel masters. Sort of. Also, this guy in particular. I can deal with the half-baked puns, but by God, every single time they did the sniff noise when he flicked his nose. Why? Still, I was greeted with another light at the end of the tunnel. I'm pretty sure the same tunnel. There's just some gaps here and there. A single glorious word that I love to see in anime bonus features, but I am seldom graced by bloopers. I love anime outtakes and bloopers. They are some of my favorite things. Hell, the Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood ones are an absolute treat.
This is ground control! Calling Major Tom!
I can rewatch them so many times. And with an anime like Duel Masters, where I'm pretty sure they're like ad-libbing half the time anyway, they have to have some gems in this.
And that's number 50. And that's me ripping my pants.
God damn you, Hasbro! So rather than real bloopers, they decide to give us scripted, in-universe bloopers. Sort of like the ones that you can see at the end of Toy Story 2. Now, there's nothing inherently wrong with scripted bloopers that make it feel like the fictional characters are genuinely real actors. I love the Toy Story ones, and I also love the ones that they did for The Lion King. The problem with the Duel Masters ones, though, is the fact that those other two examples are written by good writers! Also, I am taking back what I said by this being made by a halfway competent company. Because of this,
He held up my cards, broke wind, and let go as they scattered.
we are full steam ahead on this pain train! As of this section, we are 12 episodes in, and everything is becoming painful. First of all, the bloopers section is back on this disc, and I, for some reason, decided to watch it again. I was hoping that it's like, okay, the first one was really badly written, scripted bloopers. These ones, on a different disc, it's gonna be different, so maybe they'll be better. They were the exact same ones. They literally put the same set of unfunny bloopers onto a different disc of different episodes. Why was this a decision that was made? At this point, I'm guessing it's because that the marketing team or whoever made this decision were just so filled with malice, they had to share it with everyone and fill everyone's heart with the same nihilistic view of the world that they had. As for the episodes themselves, they were actually better. Still not good because the dialogue is just awful along with the editing, but hey, at least this happened.
Won't you go home, Rakuda? Won't you go home? I'm really sick of you.
And that definitely bridges the gap to so bad it's good. But the really good part is the fact that I can now understand what the hell is happening. And yes, that does mean they finally revealed what the cult is about. Apparently, their sole purpose is to make sure that Bakura remains the top duelist in the world. I am not joking about that. I know he was a fan favorite in Yu-Gi-Oh!, but this seems extreme. Though speaking of favorite characters, these 4 episodes re-established Mimi as my favorite character.
Blaze punch!
I remember growing up that she was my favorite because she was secretly a badass, and that her aesthetic has left its mark on my preferences to this day. But given the first 8 episodes, I was genuinely beginning to question myself of whether I really remember this correctly, or if I was mistaking this for an even more obscure anime of the time. But no, she's still amazing. And the main big duel of these 4 episodes, which takes up basically the entirety of the last 2 episodes, was very easy to follow. This made it enjoyable because they took the time to explain what things were doing what, even if it wasn't like fully fleshed out. I was able to piece together what was happening, and I had a great time. It's amazing how that works, isn't it? It's really funny how just doing the bare minimum makes the anime way more enjoyable, even when you're saying the stupidest things imaginable.
Anti-like brakes. Sweet, huh?
And then these set of episodes end with me genuinely interested in what happens next. It manages to tug at the heartstrings and raise the stakes, getting you pumped for what's to come, the battle against Bakura and his minions, and see how Shobu overcomes that. They did a great job setting up the rest of the series. And like I said, this is the bare minimum, but after watching the first 2 DVDs, I was not expecting this at all. So it's kind of like seeing a straight F student claw their way up to getting a C-. That is amazing and should be rewarded. Honestly, I can't wait to see what the next disc has in store. Maybe I was right. Maybe this would turn out to be an underrated classic that had a rough start. The Gone with the Wind reference, it mocks me. So, this disc doesn't pick up where the last one left off. Instead, it starts up the 2nd season. And if you remember, this 2nd season, called Sacred Lands, was specifically made for the American broadcast. So it is completely original, built from the ground up and all. I'll get to the weirdness of that in a moment, but I do have to talk about the fact that I missed several episodes of context that they're kind of wrapping up in the first 2 episodes of this season. First, Bakura's now blonde, so I guess I can start finally calling him Hakuo. And Shinobu is traumatized, having lost his mojo from experiencing real monsters. And honestly, fair enough. A lot of men do have trouble with their decks after traumatic experiences. And as I said, the first 2 episodes are wrapping these up so they can start up the Sacred Land story arc. And from my perspective, this is wildly confusing. Now, you may think that this is not necessarily the show's fault, because I chose to watch the anime in this format. And I counter that with, why did they stop in the middle of season 1 and have the next disc be the start of season 2? They just jump about 14 episodes for no discernible reason, and it shows zero forethought. It also doesn't help that this started off so painfully dull, and I was so lost that I kind of did end up falling asleep halfway through the 2nd episode. But I was watching it with someone else and they assured me I had missed nothing. Basically, it just all ends up with Shinobu no longer being traumatized. Though I might be traumatized because of the baby man.
I don't care what size your rear is, as long as you haul it out of that bed and get it to this Duel.
But in the pursuit of some form of integrity, I did stop watching at the time and picked up the next 2 episodes later when I wasn't afraid of falling asleep again. And when I got around to that, they were fine. Still not a fan of the writing at all.
Oh, Shobu, thank you so much for not making fun of my hair. It's been such an ordeal.
But I do have more of a grasp of the story and what's going on. Shobu's off on a journey to the titular Sacred Lands in order to become a true Kaijudo master and interact with the monsters there and control the monsters he can now summon. But I mean, Mimi's not going with him, so I genuinely struggle to care. You have one good character. Use her. But the most fascinating part about all of this is the animation. Again, this is not from Japan, so it isn't dubbed over. The original dialogue is English, yet it's treated like it's not. It is animated as if it was originally voiced over in Japanese, brought over to America, and then dubbed. And I can't tell if that's utter genius or insanely crazy. Maybe both.
Excellent. Then hey, down here.
They'll reference the original Japanese transcript, or have a scene that's oddly framed with dialogue that feels like it's forced in so that it doesn't have to match up with lip flapping. This show seems to be specifically designed to emulate the subpar dubs of the early 2000s, and I do kind of have to respect that, even if I believe there is absolutely no reason this should have been done. But regardless of that, we are on the last leg of this journey. Just one more disc to go, and I am still waiting for it to come in the mail. The Battle Zone! It has been so long, I have a different hairstyle now! I ordered this DVD on July 25th, and it took literal weeks, almost a month, to get here. USPS had it floating in the void for a week alone, with no update, just nothing. Not to mention that this was the hardest disc to find, making me very confident that this is definitely the last one, especially since it's also the most expensive. The first 4 could be found floating around between $15 to $20, maybe even $25. The cheapest I found this one was $50. And at the time of looking for it, the average price I saw was in like the $70 range. And right now I'm pretty sure it's on eBay for over $100. Thankfully, July 23rd was my birthday, so I got a gift card that I was able to use to buy this, the cheapest version, because God knows I was not spending my own money on this. But the point is, I have it now, we can talk about the episodes, and we can end this video. So we're continuing with Shinobu and Rakuta going to the Sacred Land so Shinobu can learn to be a Kaijiro master or something, and it's very confusing that you can just walk to these places. Like, they implied at the start of this season that at the end of the last season that Shinobu was transported into this alternate world, but now you can just walk there? And I guess you could walk through portals to get there, but still the point is, you can get on a train and find these places. Hell, they even thought that this quaint little town they were rolling into was Light Civilization Land, but it was actually Light Civilization Land adjacent, as in that was its actual name. So it was exactly at this point that I just stopped fighting the show. I'm just sitting back, relaxing, looking at the pretty colors, and hoping that the dialogue doesn't give me too much brain damage. And there is something I do want to clear up about the dialogue. It's really not that I don't like dumb humor. I love dumb humor. I even cracked up at this scene.
What was that?
I think it might have been a Yeti.
You're making that stuff up.
It's not a Yeti, it's a Betty.
The way the voice actress delivered it and the timing, it was perfect. And that's kind of the problem with the rest of the dialogue. They have no sense of timing. It's just consistent, lazy jokes, wordplay, and pop culture references over and over and over again, just completely insistent upon it. And that's the point I take issue with, because the most important thing about comedy in any form is timing. And when it's a non-stop barrage of jokes, there is no timing. Rarely will you have something stick when it's just throwing spaghetti at a wall. And also, I'm still really questioning the idea that this is American exclusive, there is no Japanese version. Well, there might be now, but when it like originally was conceptualized and made, it was for American audiences only. And it's just wild to me because I cannot find anything that refutes that. Except for the feeling I get when watching the anime, where it does feel like a bad dub.
Kidding, of course. I would only use my powers for, you know, good. Kidding, of course.
They really committed to that, and it's just kind of wild. And also wild in, like, the impressive way. I'm not too upset about it. It really is impressive. Speaking of impressive...
You can never breathe in these things. That's much better.
Alright, we got a hot lady night, people. Everyone stay calm. This is not a drill. I repeat, we got a hot lady night here. I'm going to need fan art of her stat. This anime is amazing. It's flawless. I do not care what happens after this. Yep, I don't care. Nope, do not care. Not at all. Do not care. I can't. It's all bad jokes, pop culture references, all falling apart. I can't even anymore. You know what the worst part is, though? This shrimp probably would have made me lose my mind laughing in any other situation. If it wasn't just for the absolute terrible script, and this just dropped in out of nowhere, it would have been peak random comedy. This is the kind of thing that just comes out of nowhere, and you are just laughing at the pure absurdity of it. But everything else is absurd in the worst way possible, that it just kind of combines into it just being unfunny now. And that is the worst thing that could happen. That is how unfunny the show is. It made the shrimp fail. And that is the last that I am going to deal with this. It's also the last that I have to deal with, thankfully. Well, at least the dub, because I am still interested in the series as a whole. I want to check out the original Japanese version, because I just can't with the dub. But the premise and everything like that, I think I will enjoy with the proper dialogue. But even with that said, even though I've been roasting this dub from hell to back, I do still have a nostalgic soft spot for it. Yeah, I'm annoyed with it. I'm definitely never going to watch the dub again. I am probably going to sell all of those on eBay for a mint, apparently. But I can't say that I hate it. Could just be Stockholm Syndrome, but I like to think that it's nostalgia. And for all of the psychic damage that I've been taking, I genuinely enjoyed, even loved making this video. This was the most fun video to make for me in a very long time. And I hope you had fun watching it. This has been my biggest project to date. Probably going to be the longest video on my channel, not counting like streams and stuff that are just floating there. So if you did enjoy it, please let me know by liking the video and commenting, and maybe buying shirts, because I sell shirts now! And those would go a long way, supporting this channel and helping me make these bigger projects, and hopefully in a more timely fashion. Overall, it would just mean so much to me. And seriously, I am very glad that there are just no more American Duel Masters related show